Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So I want to be honest, this is a discussion because Battlefield 6 is solid. Now after 2 weeks of strictly playing Recon and our history with the franchise, we realize there is a major problem with the Recon class. We have what feels like COD sniping, but we don't have Battlefield iconic long-range sniping. Let me show you. So this is Battlefield 6 sniping long range. Now I know as you're watching the footage, there's nobody there, right? But we're going to get into this very, very quickly. Now this is what we could do in Battlefield 4. Now you're asking, well, what is the problem? Well, now this is technically removed in Battlefield 6. You might be saying, but why? So as we were shooting long range and we looked for the perfect frame, asking yourself, why couldn't we land a super long range shot, is that the bullet despawns after 2.9 seconds. You can actually only reach 900 meters in that time. So what we saw in Battlefield 4 with that insane long-range snipe, or even anything beyond 900 meters, is not possible in Battlefield 6. What is even more strange is that you can do this in a tank, but you cannot do this with a sniper, because a tank bullet doesn't despawn. This seems a little odd and backwards, doesn't it? Now, all this background footage is going to be from Big E, who is an amazing long-range sniper who has played many Battlefield titles. Also, the footage is from our thumbnail artist here, Eddie. He has done all the thumbnails for years on the channel, but we initially started our journey on Battlefield, and he's amazing at Battlefield, you're going to say. Now, let's discuss the bullets and everything's timestamped and what we're going to discuss further. First bullet point is Battlefield is known for as a blockbuster and iconic Battlefield moments, but seems to be straying away from that. The next bullet point is smaller maps. Is that a problem? We don't want people to camp. That is not the discussion here, so I'm putting it as a bullet point. Bullet point number 4 is Bulletdrag exists now in Battlefield 6. This was actually present in Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5. And we're going to talk about that because people are like, what? What mechanic is that? Yeah, exactly. Here's the next one, is that we're missing the sandbox fun feeling of Battlefield. And of course, the last one is talking about these hidden mechanics that go further, such as fatal headshots and sweet spot. Now let's talk about how this works in Battlefield 6. Let's understand that yes, technically this is a beta. Maybe this will all be a wash, just maybe, that there's another sniper that does have a further range. But why would they create inconsistencies like the above that are so niche for a specific loadout? That would not be very intuitive or even casual friendly, right? So what is occurring and how do we discover that this is an issue? Well, there's a specific build in Battlefield 6 that is built for around 1,225 meter plus sniping. That's the velocity. And so that kind of means that the game is telling you, based on the bullet velocity, that the game intends for further sniping and really fast bullet velocity, right? That's kind of an assumption just based on reading that we would make, opening the door of possibilities. But what is actually happening? Well, like we said at the start, 2.9 seconds, the bullet just despawns. This again, reminder, this means that it equates to around 900 meters in game. So wait, didn't we just say that the velocity is 1,125 meters per second? Is this broken? Well then what Big E and Eddie decided to do is that every 50 meters, they decided to go in game and showcase the velocity. What they did is they ping and they record it at 350 meters, and you see the frame in which you shot and the frame in which the bullet disappears, and to see how long it took from firing to when it lands. What the team did is that they plotted this on a graph all the way to 1,500 meters. The discovery is that the same distance after 900 meters is not like the bullet is hitting them at those ranges. Sometimes, let's just be more specific, it's actually from 2.9 to 3 seconds. But okay, let's just go and round up and say that it despawns at 3 seconds. This means that long-range sniping does not exist, meaning those insane pilot snipes, cool spawns where you're like at the back of a ship and you just take a shot just for fun, those fun iconic moments are just gone. This reflects that the maps are intended to be smaller. That's the next bullet point, right? But we know that Firestorm is a very large map, unless they tend to recreate the map and make it smaller. That also means that those amazing moments that we once saw on that map cannot be replicated. What the conclusion comes to is that they intend for sniping to be based around close range sniping. But when we get a larger map or want to have fun in Portal and make some long range sniping encounters, what are we going to get? We will discuss Bulletdrag in a moment, but let's talk about the counter argument, and I think it's a fair one. None of us are saying we want people just to sit in the back of the map and camp. Nothing is worse than seeing a sniper that just avoids playing the objective. But when it comes to Battlefield, Battlefield is about knowing that something is possible and that you can do it, that you can pull off some insane stunt. And we go back to what Battlefield always markets, Battlefield moments. Someone can do a rendezvous, shoot out of a, their jet and then try to blast somebody, snipe from a helicopter, snipe someone one-on-one long range, and then pop off close range right after, just because you're right on the objective. You push the boundaries of the game while having some intense battles going on. But it seems like we have less of that sandbox feel and the maps are larger. Now the positives here is the map kit, which then can lend itself to better choke points and more fun encounters. I think that would be the argument here, because this means you don't have to run a whole mile before going into the next engagement. 2042 definitely had this issue, but if this is the case, it lends itself towards the next topic that we just talked about earlier, Bulletdrag. Now Bulletdrag, this existed in Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5. What is wild is that this mechanic is no way effectively explained in game. So what is Bulletdrag? The bullet slows down once it reaches a specific distance. So really fast at the start, and then once it reaches that specific range, it slows down. So it's kind of counterintuitive, right? Is this supposed to make long-range sniping harder? Because then now you have a more difficult time learning two different velocities. That is not catering towards a casual player and limits who can actually do this. Now the counter was to encourage sniping to a specific range, which we all believe is why they added Sweet Spot. It feels like rather than letting the player creatively play to their strengths, they are funneling players into a specific playstyle or map. Because Sweet Spot, let's all be honest, and I want you to comment on it, is very controversial. At the mid-range distance, depending on a specific sniper, you can get insta-kill. Kind of strange, because at close range, you should have higher damage because the velocity is faster, I guess logically, if we're trying to follow logic, but with Sweet Spot, it just one-stop kills you. That's crazy. This means you don't have to go for a headshot and could in theory build bad aiming habits, and that lowers the skill ceiling of a sniper. Well, let's talk about the Apex Legends community. They always bash on Vantage's bullet being extremely large, and that there's less bullet drop. Well now, what's very strange is, how do you feel about a sniper that just one-shot kills towards the body? Vantage Sniper takes at least 2 bullets, and Battlefield that just takes 1 within that sweet spot range? Now, it is very casual based, and it doesn't add to the skill required of a sniper. That's why I'm really confused. I'm not really sure who these mechanics are intended for. Are they meant for a casual player to get into the game, or an experienced player to exploit and dominate the field? Especially when you add Bulletdrag for casuals, they're going to get more confused in the mechanic. And sure that you're watching this video, you're probably just as confused or didn't know that existed. So here's the fix and the reasoning, the solution. Have a slower but constant speed for bullet velocity in-game, even if the bullet velocity is slower than 1,125 meters, just adding a barrel attachment. If it was constant, a high speed build would go to 800 meters per second, which would be insanely fast. For reference, depending on the sniper in BF4, it was usually around 610 to 670 meters per second. The bullet, also as an additional change, should only despawn after 5 seconds to account for larger maps. So I pose this question to you as a viewer, because personally, I don't want Sweet Spot mechanic back, but it is here. I just don't know if it makes a lot of sense. Just it confuses players. Seems like an easy cop-out to get a quick kill. Now the last mechanic is Fatal Headshot. This stops players from spawning in once they get a headshot. Now with all these mechanics, it does seem like a lot. Now this one I don't mind as much, but we keep getting these new mechanics with lack of explanation. And when players are playing, there's lots of hidden mechanics in the back end. And it doesn't seem as clear-cut what skill expression is actually, well, occurring. And we lack consistency. So maybe for pros, they're going to love these mechanics, but I'm unsure for the average player if this is fun. As a community, what do you think? Are you partial to the way Battlefield 6 plays now? Or is it truly missing that Battlefield 3 and 4 feel when it comes to sniping? I see less and less snipers even when I play. I see more assault players just run medic, and everyone is essentially all playing the same class the same way. The roles are lacking their unique feel, and there's no trade-offs, and that's why when the solution I gave, there's a trade-off for low velocity. That's just my perspective. I'm hoping this video helps for once the game launches, but also for Portal releases, creating some unique modes, long-range sniping, Battlefield moments, just creating a sandbox type feel. Now if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and of course, see you guys all in the next one.